Morning.
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 It's a female. Discovered by a teacher. He was out with a class of preschool toddlers on a nature walk. Got him out of the area as soon as possible, but not before they did some damage.
Yeah, so that's the understatement of the year.
Morning, Fizz.
Morning.
There's not much more I can do until she's cut down.
Give you a few minutes, Imogen, then we can let her down.
How did she get herself up there?
This was found near the body, under some leaf litter.
Still turned on?
Exactly. And it doesn't look as if it was placed where we found it.
Right.
Looks as if it was dropped and then stepped on. There's no suicide note, no ID. It doesn't feel like a suicide, does it? No, it doesn't. Check with the council workers, park regulars. See if anybody can recognise it from a description.
Righto.
Well, there's no sign of any sexual interference. No defence wounds.
Maybe she was taken by surprise.
Finished, Dee?
Sure he had.
There are these odd abrasions on the fingers.
Yes, but they weren't from a recent struggle.
Time of death, Toots?
Well, it was a cold night. I'd say 12, 16 hours maybe.
Which makes it sometime late yesterday afternoon.
Her neck's not broken.
And the ligature mark around the neck is even.
So, definitely not a suicide.
Yes. You see, a self-suspension creates a line along the jaw and up obliquely to a suspension point behind the ears. The biggest pressure on her neck is right at the front.
And the knot on the scarf was at the rear.
So it's death by strangulation, not death by hanging. The scarf?
Well, yes, most likely, but we will have to run some tests.
The scarf was used to strangle her and then used again to string her up.
To make it look like suicide.
On the way home on foot.
Yeah, well, we didn't find any vacant cars left outside of the park, and she didn't have her keys on her.
Beautiful young girl goes AWOL. Nobody reports her missing.
Or maybe she was a visitor, tourist.
Well, we've released a photo to the media. Maybe something will come from that.
Hey, what about the scarf? I mean, it's distinctive enough. Have you tried the import boutiques?
Yeah, we're onto it.
It's a fair bit to say that the killer would have to have the scarf on him. Unless the victim's Isadora Duncan.
Right, now this is the victim's running shoes. You can see the confetti wedged in the tread here and here.
There was confetti outside the pavilion in the park. Popular venue for weddings.
Well, that's a start at piecing together the victim's last movements. I'll try and find out exactly when the wedding took place. What else have you got, Fizz?
Right, do thanks. Right, fingerprints on the Walkman, they were the victims. Now, there's no other ID on her. Clothing was mid-priced, popular brand, available just about anywhere.
Not much help there.
Next, thanks, Dee. Now, the scarf which the victim was strangled with is expensive, but common enough. Next. Right here now, maybe something here.
Good-looking shoes. Expensive.
Yes, but again, common enough with serious joggers. However, that and the heart monitor that she had with her confirmed that she was very enthusiastic about her sport, so maybe something there. But this is the find. About 3.5 metres from where the body was found. Now, at first I thought it was a partial from one of the children who found the body. Not so. There. Horse's hoof print.
So you usually ride your horse through Sanctuary Park about 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes, I do.
You didn't happen to notice a female jogger in the grove of trees near the rear entrance yesterday, did you?
Yesterday. Well, I'm not sure. I think I did see someone.
Was this the woman?
God. Well, we never actually spoke or anything. What happened to her?
We believe she was strangled.
We're having trouble identifying her. Do you know her name?
Sorry.
Do you know anyone who might know her name?
I really have no idea who she is.
But you did say you saw her.
Yes, twice, I think. The last time would have been a little after 5 when I doubled back.
Double back?
Yeah, well, I dropped my scarf. I couldn't find the stupid thing anyway.
Your scarf. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, I don't suppose I'll be getting it back, will I?
So we can rule out premeditation. The scarf was a fluke. It just happened to be there. It had to be random. No sexual assault and no robbery.
Well, maybe that was the original intention and the killer was interrupted. Or maybe the victim fought back. Except that there are no signs of resistance, are there? No defence wounds.
Well, she was slight, caught on her own, paralysed with fear, maybe.
Or maybe the killer was just too strong.
What is that? Is that an emu, or has he dislocated something? Come on.
This is about that young girl, right?
I'm Detective Vance. This is Detective Hayden from Homicide.
I heard about it on the radio.
Do you usually come to the park around this time of day?
Yes?
We just have a few questions for you, Mr.
Moody. Hamish Moody.
You've seen the victim before, have you, sir?
Oh, maybe once or twice, but I can't recall seeing her yesterday. My exercise requires focus and concentration.
And exactly where do you do the exercise, sir?
Tai Chi. Here, usually.
Between the pavilion and the grove of trees, right?
Yes.
And when you finish these exercises, how do you leave the park?
Well, through the gate, of course.
Which gate?
The rear gate.
So that's through the grove of trees, is it?
Why would I go through the trees when I have a perfectly good path to follow?
So you go round the trees,
Look,
do you?
I didn't see the girl, all right? Now, I really don't have time for this. My wife is expecting me.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Moody.
There is someone else you could talk to. A blonde thing rides a horse around like she owns the place. I think she knew the girl.
You think?
I remember seeing them having a go at each other once.
What, a fight?
Yeah, something about the park being for people, not for pets. She must have stood in some horse poop.
When was this?
A week or so ago.
Right. Thank you.
You said you didn't know her.
Pisces. Right? I can tell by the eyes.
Could you answer the question, please?
I don't know. I may have had words with her once. I can't remember the details. It was hardly a conversation worth recalling.
Not even now she's dead.
Listen, a lot of people comment about Norseman. That's my horse. I just put it down to jealousy. I mean, people comment about my car as well. It's a Jag. Convertible.
When we spoke to you this morning, you said that you'd never seen this woman.
Okay, so I made a mistake. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't think it was relevant.
Or is there anything else that you might now consider as relevant?
Well, since you mention it, actually there is. There were other joggers in the park yesterday. 2 guys. I don't know them by name, but their t-shirts seem familiar. It annoyed me all night, and then I realised.
You recognise the T-shirts?
Well, I do a jazzercise class at the Planet Gym on Tuesday nights. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're the same ones the staff wear.
Okay, well, thank you. You've been very helpful.
So you're not going to handcuff me now, Detective? Bye.
Well, she was very helpful.
Excuse me, your name Jamie Nicolaides?
Yeah.
I'm Detective Hayden, this is Detective Vance, we're from Homicide.
Have you seen this woman before?
Sorry. Wouldn't know who she is.
She runs in Century Park every day.
Yeah, but I don't. It was my first time.
But you were jogging with a friend.
Yeah, my mate Gavin. Big night last night.
Where can we find Gavin?
Where he always is. Assisting our female clientele. You can really feel it.
You were jogging in the park that day. We're hoping you might have seen something.
I took off from here after my shift finished at 3:30. Well, Jamie probably told you we had his bucks party last night.
Mm-hmm. She was wearing a yellow Walkman. You don't recognise her?
Oh, I've seen her a couple of times. Thought she was a good sort. She put in a lot of work on her running.
What time did you finish your run?
4:45 maybe, 10 to.
Then where did you go?
Straight to my place. Had to shower and change for the Bucks night.
And you didn't see anything unusual in the park? Nothing out of the ordinary?
No, nothing I can think of.
Like I said, it was my first time.
And I wasn't paying much attention. I was talking about the harbour cruise and trying to keep his nibs distracted, you know.
Bit nervous, eh?
He's a marked man.
2 days till the wedding.
Not that he's counting. Anyway, we just did a couple of laps, then headed home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Still don't have a positive ID on it.
No, nothing yet.
Someone must have known it.
Yeah.
Hey!
Pub rules, Dee.
Which pub?
This pub.
Oh, bad luck. I'll win again. Must do this again sometime.
Can't wait, Dee. Thank you. See you again, huh?
See you later.
Scotch, please, Jack. Thanks. Hi.
Want a girl a drink?
Definitely.
Champagne?
French, Jack.
Oh.
So, what are you doing here?
Well, something has been driving me insane. I should have mentioned it earlier. Oh, it's probably not important.
No. What is it?
You know, your offsider makes me feel a little jumpy. You sure is that hostile?
You said you had some information.
Yes, I do. Yesterday in the park, I lost my scarf. I told you. Well, when I went back to try and find it, the girl, the one who was murdered, well, she was with someone.
Man or woman?
Man, I think. Well, I assume they were kissing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So she just chases you up in a bar to tell you about the mystery boyfriend?
Yeah,
Well, why didn't she tell us about it before?
because she didn't remember before.
What's he look like?
Tall, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Hair colour?
She didn't remember.
What was he wearing?
Light-coloured shirt, dark pants, she thinks.
She thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but this all sounds very strange to me. Why would she withhold the information?
Look, Tess, now either we analyse this to death or we run with it. And frankly, given everything we don't know about this case, I think it's worth pursuing.
Yeah, well, it does point to the obvious.
What, that the so-called boyfriend and the murderer are the same person?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go and talk to the council worker, shall I? Right.
Stop, or I'll shoot you. Is that what you say?
How'd you know I was the police?
All this attention lately. I knew it would be only a matter of time before you got to me.
Got to you?
Well, I work here every day. Except when it's raining, of course. Don't be fooled. My eyes still serve me while I can see everything. Chance meetings, little romances, children coming, children growing, and now this unfortunate business.
We're having trouble identifying the victim. Do you have any idea who she was?
Your people, too much buzzing, like bees. Obviously a big case, eh? Yes, I've seen her. But unfortunately, I can't help with the name.
Did you ever see her with a man, a boyfriend perhaps?
I told you, I see everything that happens here. You know, she was very attractive. This photo doesn't do her justice.
Could you describe the man?
I'm not so good with that kind of detail. But perhaps a young man who thinks he's Flamingo, he might know more.
What, Hamish Moody, the man who practices Tai Chi here?
Well, he seemed to have an affinity for the girl.
You're saying he's the boyfriend?
He was attracted. On the day in question, I saw him finishing his stupid business, and then he went into the trees.
Into the trees and not round the trees? What time was this?
4:30. It was his pattern. He was on his way home.
Now, you're sure you're not mistaken about this? That you're not confusing it with another day?
No mistake. First him, then the young girl who is dead now, and of course the horsewoman.
Hamish Moody, how do you know how he felt about the victim?
Well, he changed his pattern. His routine, you know, he was coming here every morning, and one afternoon he sees this beautiful woman, and then he changes to come every afternoon. I think she had him in her throw.
I see.
So you left the park by the rear gate at about 4:30 in the afternoon?
Yes.
And to get to the rear gate, you say you took the path. Now, we have a witness who actually saw you go into the grove of trees. Why did you lie to us about that?
Why do you think? Look, we're having troubles at home. My wife is undergoing therapy. Being involved in something like this is the last thing I need.
Explain involved.
Look, I told you, I hardly knew the girl. I didn't even know her name.
Obviously, you're attracted to her, though.
I was trying to work up the courage to talk to her, yes.
Did you?
No. She stopped in the grove of trees. I saw her stoop to pick something up.
What was it?
I was watching her. Anyway, couldn't bring myself to say anything, so I went home.
Directly home?
Yes.
Mr. Moody, what were you wearing in the park 2 days ago?
Clothes really aren't that important to me. Something loose, a cotton t-shirt, pants.
What colour?
Oh, no idea. Look, what has this got to do with it?
Maybe we could call your wife. She might remember.
Right, now this is the new shoe print that we found. We've used the computer to graphically enhance the topography of the tread, as you can see. Now, according to the index, that is a match for a partial from the toe of a running shoe, and it is not the victim's running shoe.
Could you pinpoint it for me?
Sure. Just underneath the victim and slightly to one side. Now, inside a metre, right, is just about the spot you might need to stand to rig a scarf over a branch. Now, it's not really enough to be able to tell the size of the shoe accurately, but that is telling nonetheless. And this is even more telling. There. See the confetti? Pressed into the mud of the shoe print. Now, I've done a match on the confetti outside the pavilion. And it's the same discoloration, the same exposure to the elements.
Could it be the preschool kids?
No. It's far too big. Besides, the children were wearing school shoes. Not running shoes. It's a different print altogether.
So, the mystery boyfriend would have had to have been outside the pavilion sometime after the wedding at 4 p.m.
Yes, and it's almost certain that he was wearing running shoes.
Running shoes? No, Hayden. Hayden? Yeah, I'll wait. Thank you.
Certainly cuts down our list of possibles.
Oh, it gets better. I ran the suspects through cops. One's got formed for aggravated assault. I'm just waiting on the arresting officer now. Yeah, Roger. Steve Hayden, homicide. How are you? Good. Listen, what can you tell me about Jamie Nicolaides? Jamie, a couple of years ago, you assaulted a girlfriend. True?
You know I did.
Then perhaps you'd like to tell us again what happened in the park.
Nothing. Gavin and I left, just like I said before.
You didn't notice the dead woman?
Okay, maybe I did. I don't remember. I'm getting married tomorrow.
And maybe you thought you'd have a final fling, eh?
No.
Maybe you thought the woman smiled at you and maybe you followed her up into the trees.
No.
What about your friend?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Before you said you left the park together.
We did. But then Gavin said he wanted to score some dope for the Bucks party. We didn't catch up again until we met at Gavin's place at 7 that night.
Jamie, may I remind you that hindering a murder investigation, falsifying an alibi, is a very, very serious offence.
I'd like to know more about the aggravated assault charge. Jamie?
I was drunk. My girlfriend at the time told me she was leaving me for another guy. We argued. I tried to grab her, but she fell down some stairs and broke her leg. The girl I'm going to marry tomorrow, her father is a High Court judge.
And he doesn't know anything about this?
I think he'd let me marry his daughter if he did. Look, this is a real chance for me. It's taken me months to convince my fiancée's family that I'm good enough to marry her. And I love her to death. If this gets out, it'll ruin everything.
All right, Jamie, that'll do for now. You can have the shoes back when forensics are finished with them. Come on, off you go. You said you went straight home, Gavin.
Okay, I scored some dope, so what? Look, it was just enough for the Bucks party. We're in training. I run in triathlons. How successful would we be if we screwed ourselves up with drugs? We just wanted to do something special for Jamie's send-off. It was supposed to be harmless fun.
Do you have a name for the dealer? We'll need a name to corroborate your alibi.
Great. I don't know. Tim someone. He works out of the back bar at the Royal.
Royal. We'll have a bit of a word.
If Jamie wasn't so hung up on rubbing elbows with the upper class, none of this would be happening.
The wedding tomorrow?
He's way out of his league.
Jamie Nicolaides, Gavin Todd from the gym. Hamish Moody, Tai Chi man. We may have to start calling you Imelda. I'll leave you to it then, shall I?
Yes, keep up the good work, Hayden.
You're right, we're late. You wanted to speak to the council worker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks.
Okay.
So, Mr. Bosnick, you said you saw the victim with someone?
Yes.
When exactly was that?
The day of the murder, of course.
You're sure of that?
Well, usually I do my work, and then I leave the park to the main gate about 5:30 to be at home at 6. But as it happened on the day of the unfortunate business, I had a stomach pain. Too much Kransky, I suppose. So I went to the toilet block near the grove of trees. It was exactly 5 o'clock.
And you definitely saw the dead girl with someone?
As I told you, a man. They were embracing.
And she was making no effort to resist?
Not at all. I was intrigued, of course. You see, I didn't want to be taken for a pervert. I wondered, ever since, which one it had to be. She had an interesting face, you know. Strong. But she had suffered.
So So who else did you see that day by the trees?
Oh, well, there was, of course, a proud girl on her horse. In her desire to look impressive, she had lost her scarf. Did she tie it firmly to prevent it happening? No, of course not. It would ruin the look.
Why didn't you call out to her and tell her where it was?
She wouldn't want to talk to a lowly council worker. And besides, I just watch. I don't interfere.
Mr. Bosley, these shoes here, are they yours?
Of course. What do you think that I wear? I wear boots at home? Yeah.
Would you mind if we took them to have a look at? They'll be returned to you.
To help with your inquiry, huh?
So, to be seen by Kostya Bosniak on his way to the toilet block, the victim and the man she was with had to be about here.
Yeah. Did you buy his story?
I don't know quite what to make of Mr. Bosniak.
Well.
So, who else might have seen something?
You know, I still can't get my head around one question. She ran through this park every day. What was so special about the day she died?
Steady. So sorry, Norseman just doesn't like strangers at all.
Well, Ingrid certainly likes me, doesn't she?
Oh, I wouldn't take it too personally, Tess.
How do you take it?
I wouldn't know. All right, I admit it. She doesn't like you. She thinks you're hostile.
Well, I think she's jealous.
I found it under her eyelid.
What is it?
It's a fragment of pine needle.
Well, she was found in a park. It's not unusual.
Except for one thing. No inflammation. This pine needle somehow got itself into her eye after death.
After?
What about while the killer put it down to rig up the scarf to the tree?
No, sorry, but there were no pine needles underneath those trees.
Well, what about where Bosniak saw them kissing?
Yes. Yes, there were.
Right, so he strangles her and then hears someone coming? Ingrid on the horse, maybe?
Yeah, he panics. Hasn't got time to dump the body, so he picks her up and starts kissing her until the danger passes.
Right, so she's already dead when the boyfriend's kissing her?
So much for afterplay.
Well, I thought you'd want to know. I'm closing now. You'll get my report.
Good, thanks.
Yes, and likewise on these. Hayden, now I take it you will stop when you get to 100.
I'll try.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Well, another triumph for physical evidence, Imogen. Keep up the good work.
Goodbye, Lance. David, could you give me a little jar of formalin? I just want to make an excision.
All right, what kind of person strangles someone and then holds the body kissing it?
I don't really want to think about that.
And then uses the scarf to try and make it look like suicide. Right, well, we know that the boyfriend had to be strong.
Wearing runners, light-coloured shirt, dark-coloured pants.
Yeah. And since no one heard the victim scream, probably someone she knew. Someone that she wasn't surprised to see in that part of the park. Someone that she knew or else saw there often. Someone that didn't pose a threat.
Your council workers' shoes, same as the others, I'm afraid. No confetti, no obvious match with the tread. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you've run out of suspect shoes for me to test.
No, you are not mistaken.
So where does that leave us?
Absolutely nowhere. Thanks, Fizz. Good night.
Very well.
It's the information you've been waiting on.
Oh, good. Have you read this? Of course, it had to be. Couldn't be anything else.
advance.
Tessa, Tootsie, breakthrough. I've identified your victim. Her name's Annie Vega. First I thought it was a rash, an allergy maybe, except for the darker tinge around the outside. Absolute textbook case.
And she was a patient at infectious diseases.
Yep. Lucky for us she sought help there.
How contagious is it?
Not nearly as much as most people think.
You know, I think this might be our break. Good work. I'll get on to the victim's doctor again. See what else he can tell us.
All right. I've already organised a search of the victim's house. Maybe that'll provide some sort of link between her and the park regulars.
You know, Steve, we've been working on the assumption that Annie Vega knew her killer, didn't see him as a threat at all.
Yeah, I know. How could the killer know her that well and not know about her condition?
Well, unless he did know.
Oh, no way. You wouldn't want to risk catching it. I mean, he was kissing her. You wouldn't do that. Would you?
This pine needle somehow got itself into her eye after death.
Osborne just doesn't like strangers at all.
She had an interesting face, you know. She had suffered.
What was so special about the day she died?
He's a marked man. 2 days till the wedding.
Is that the fax for Annie's parents?
Yeah.
I'd like to add one more question.
Sure.
Anne Winifred Vega.
Her doctor gave us a positive ID.
Good news at last.
Thanks to Tootsie. She'd studied the disease at uni but never actually seen it in the flesh, so to speak. She made some inquiries through the major teaching hospitals.
The doctor gave us an address. We searched the premises. Nothing unusual. Victim lived alone. No fingerprints except hers.
What about this boyfriend scenario?
Well, no one she brought home, and nothing that links her with any of the suspects. We found an address book, a few overseas contacts, but nothing local.
We also found the diary, but nothing for that particular day. No mention of a rendezvous in the park and no mention of a boyfriend or a lover.
Although Tessa does have a theory about that, Malcolm.
Really? Shoot.
Yeah, well, it's nothing definite. It's, I'll know more when we hear back from Amsterdam.
Amsterdam?
She was born there.
What about this Hansen's disease? Does that give us anything?
Well, yeah, we're hoping that's our ace in the hole.
Someone better have a good explanation as for why we're here.
From the police, I don't think so.
Right, we're ready for now.
So what are we playing here? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo? You confident this'll work?
Tessa is.
I asked you.
You've already had me in here once. You think you'd be a little more organised.
As I explained, Mr. Moody, this shouldn't take long.
Good, we've got places to be too, you know.
My wedding?
Yeah, I appreciate that, but some important information's come through about the girl in the park.
Information?
You have our attention.
Well, from our autopsy report, it seems that the girl had a rare illness known as Hansen's disease.
So,
Well, potentially it's very dangerous, particularly if anyone came into close personal contact with her.
what is this Hansen's disease?
More commonly known as leprosy.
Leprosy.
Rare.
How contagious is it?
you've got to be kidding. Can I go now?
Yeah, Ripper. That's a tactic we'll have to use again.
Well, it was a long shot anyway.
It had to be him. He was holding her, kissing her. You'd think he'd have reacted.
Yeah.
Are you winning?
No.
It's a fax for you.
It is him.
Where's Jamie?
He went to the toilet.
I could get it like that, couldn't I? Kissing. Annie and I got married in Amsterdam when I was 18. She was just a few months older. Her father owned a bus tour company. The family were loaded.
And then?
She left me in 1992, trekked through Nepal. Well, I thought she'd be back in a couple of months. We could work things out, but she just never came back.
How long had you been married by then?
17 weeks. Anyway, after a long time, years, no letters, no communication at all, I just assumed it was all over. I got on with it, got on with my life.
And you'd heard nothing official? No word of a divorce?
By that stage, I didn't care whether she came back or not. It just wasn't an issue anymore.
Until you met your current girlfriend?
I was so close. My father-in-law was going to buy us a house with a pool. Everything.
What happened at the park, Jamie?
I'd never been in that park before in my life, and there she was in my face. Like she'd come back from the grave just to spite me, just to screw things up.
Did she see you?
Don't know. Maybe. I was so angry I couldn't think straight. And then when we left the park and Gavin said he wanted to score some dope,
You went back.
I had to make sure she was going to stay out of my life. I couldn't let her ruin my plans again. I offered her money. Anything. She wouldn't listen to reason. She was always like that, judging me. And then when I saw the scarf in her hand, that was that. I had to shut her up. I had to...
What?
I heard someone coming. I had to make it look as though we were, together. Then I strung her up and hoped that everyone would think she did it herself. Guess I won't be getting married this afternoon.
You know, I kept coming back to something that Steve said. Why was Annie Vega murdered on that specific day? It was the first day that Jamie went running in the park. Then we got the facts.
How did you know he'd been married before? Well, we didn't. But when we checked with Annie's parents if Annie had ever been married, there it was, Jamie's surname.
So Vega was a maiden name. Something tells me that this is Jamie's fiance's lucky day.
Yes, it was hardly unusual, to say the least.
Leprosy is easily cured these days. I mean, setting up a situation to scare people like that, well, it's positively medieval.
Well, I've always maintained that certain detectives have minds stuck in the dark ages.
Well, they did solve the case, Sergeant.
Well, science set them on the right path, Dee. It was sound scientific investigation which solved this case. And you, Imogen, deserve a drink.
Well, thank you, Lance.
Red wine and action, thank you.
Hey!
Scotch and a mineral water.
Steve, been mucking out any stables lately?
Yes, what's this I hear about a Valkyrie riding on a stallion?
Her name is Ingrid, Tootsie.
Oh, Ingrid. Real thoroughbred, socially speaking.
And to think I could be riding to hounds, driving round in jags, mixing with the rich and beautiful instead of hanging out with you lot.
Wallowing in all that horse poo.
Well, some wallow in it, some are full of it.
Thank you.